Welcome to another edition of SKNIS Week in Review, a program that highlights the top stories of the work of the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for the past week. I look at some of the highlights for September 28th to October 4th, 2018. ICT Week St. Kitts and Nevis exceeds CTU's expectations. Caribbean ICT ministers endorse idea of implementation of single ICT space. Stakeholders engage in seminar aimed at building capacity of public sector leaders. And Hilroy Brandy invested with the full powers of the Commissioner of Police. I am your presenter, Sherry Mamaki. ICT, Information and Communication Technology Week St. Kitts and Nevis successfully wrapped up on Friday, September 28th, leaving delegates from across the Caribbean region with a wealth of knowledge on the latest technological advancements and how they can be used to enhance the life of citizens and government operations. The St. Kitts Marriott Resort was the venue for the September 24th to 28th event, attended by ICT ministers of government from member states of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union (CTU), as well as private sector and civil society stakeholders. General Secretary of the CTU, Bernadette Lewis, said that the week was great.
It was really, even for me, very educational. And I would really like to thank the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis for hosting us so marvelously. It has been a tremendous success, but I might be biased. So that, but we, as far as I'm concerned, we have achieved all of our of our objectives. In some cases, they have been exceeded.
However, Ms. Lewis added that there is still a lot of work to be done, and there are some things that will require more thought. The CTU's Secretary General noted that her organization has been close partners with the St. Kitts and Nevis government, working on a number of projects, including a government-wide area network GWAN project. The GWAN will enhance government's communication and the delivery of e-services to the public. A new partnership with the CTU and government will be unveiled in the coming months as a pilot on 21st century government will be rolled out in Nevis. Ms. Lewis said that she was excited by the implementation of the project, adding that more information will be revealed shortly. Still on ICT in the region. ICT ministers from across the Caribbean region endorsed the idea for enhancement of a single ICT space, as it is important to streamline economic development to promote a common identity via travel that facilitates integration of culture. This was echoed during a question and answer session at the 17th Caribbean Ministerial Strategic ICT Seminar as part of ICT Week St. Kitts and Nevis, held at the Marriott Resort, where ministers spoke about the biggest challenge in accomplishing the single ICT space objectives by 2021. The Honorable Kay Makani, Barbados' Minister of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, described the single ICT space as an enabler and noted that there has to be the collaborative approach by governments.
What has to happen in the region is that we have to have a commitment to a bigger vision of how we as a region wish to show up in this new world that is evolving. And I think lack of clarity about that vision and our place in this world as a region is central to us being able to go forward together, understanding that the ICT space is simply an enabler to that vision.
Similar sentiments were shared by the Junior Minister for Trade and Investment Promotion in the British Virgin Islands, the Honourable Marlon Penn, and the Attorney General and the Minister of Communications in St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Vincent Byron, who noted that commitment plays an important role in successfully implementing that single ICT space. Information and Communication Technologies, ICTs, and their uses must embrace persons living with disabilities so that they will not be left behind in the information age. Hence, an all-inclusive approach is necessary. This was expressed at a workshop that allowed persons with disabilities to explore the uses of technology. Attorney General and the Minister of Communications, the Honorable Vincent Byron, described the workshop as very exciting, especially for him as Minister with responsibility for ICTs. He noted that when the government of St. Kitts and Nevis agreed to co-host ICT Week, it was important to have an all-inclusive approach. He added that just like everyone else, persons with disabilities deserve the right to advance and excel where necessary.
Every citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis have certain inalienable rights, and we all have a right to be able to participate in our society and have the same access, the same benefits, the same protections as any other citizen. And as people with disabilities, we all have the same rights as anyone else. We are not in any way to be disadvantaged by the government, by the state, or anyone else. And our laws must protect you, those with disabilities, the opportunities that others in our society who do not have disabilities have. We must find ways to be able to offer them to you. And the whole sector, the whole industry, the whole environment of information and communication technologies must be available to those of us with disabilities.
As part of the workshop, participants were introduced to Windows Uni Tablet, a device which allows someone who is hearing impaired to communicate with someone who can hear. The aim is to be able to speak using a sign language. They will then show the tablet what they are trying to communicate. The tablet will then translate their sign language to the language of their choice and then voice it, and vice versa. This forms part of CityU's new initiative called the Caribbean Video Assistance Service, CVAS, a program aimed at providing video relay service for both the hearing and visually impaired. Moving on. A wide cross-section of persons from across government ministries and departments in St. Kitts and Nevis participated in a 3-day transformational leadership seminar aimed at building capacity of public sector leaders so that they can develop and operationalize strategies that promote national security and economic development. Facilitator Dr. Rickert Allen and Senior General Manager in the NCB Financial Group Limited in Jamaica used the occasion to welcome the participants and encourage them to be interactive so that he can learn some of their experiences and challenges in order to be able to move forward together and ensure that the seminar is successful.
This concept of transformation is very topical, and the reason for that is that the environment, as described, is VUCA. This term, this acronym was developed by the American War College back in about 1987 at the close of the Cold War, when they described the world as multidimensional. And what they're saying is that the world is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And we can all agree to that. You are experiencing a lot of that effect. And transformation, which is a type of change, is all about mindset.
Osmond Petty, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, said that the seminar was timely and extremely important and appealed to participants to use the workshop wisely. The workshop, which was dubbed Transformation of Key Public Sector Entities Impacting the National Security of St. Kitts and Nevis, ran from October 1st to 3rd at the Customs and Excise Department's conference room. It was organized by the Ministry of National Security. This week's edition of Working for You focused on the activities for the month of older persons, psychosocial issues in the aging process, ageism, contribution of older persons to society, the draft aging policy of the Ministry of Social Development, and the role of home care officers, among other pertinent issues. Speaking on the issue of an aging policy, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Community Development, Gender Affairs and Social Services, Janelle Lewis, said that through this legislation, older persons will continue to be protected, cared for, and remain engaged in society. She said that the policy will cater to every citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis.
For the draft policy that we want to present, we intended for this to be one that promoted things like healthy aging, active aging, intergenerational solidarity, accessibility, which is a large, huge thing that would impede older persons enjoying their older years. In looking at the aging policy, we didn't just want to put a policy in place that looked at what we should do when persons are already 62 and over. We wanted to do a policy that spanned the whole lifespan. So you put things in place for persons from when they are young that would end up making the society a more inclusive and better one for when they become older persons.
The Permanent Secretary said that an important aspect of the policy is to encourage persons to start planning for their retirement so as to deal with the issue of poverty. She noted that certain schemes should be in place that would assist persons to plan for their older years. The tradition of annual discounted VAT rate day in St. Kitts and Nevis will continue in 2018. This was announced on October 4th by Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, during his monthly press conference.
We have given early notice of the reduced VAT days to accommodate the logistics relating to the sourcing of products from abroad and other imperatives of getting ready for VAT day. So we have come early. We have given fully 3 months in advance. And in fact, as far back as April, we did signal to the business community in our private meetings that yes, there will be a VAT day. So we have put them in a better state of readiness to make the necessary preparations.
Prime Minister Harris noted that businesses and the general public on a whole are given more than enough time to prepare and should act accordingly to take advantage of the reduced VAT day. He added that 2 VAT days were suggested and noted that Cabinet will make a decision during its next meeting. Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, announced that Hilroy Brandy, Deputy Commissioner of the Royal St. Christopher and the Nevis Police Force, has been invested with the full powers of the Commissioner of Police on a temporary basis to ensure that public safety operations can continue seamlessly. Mr. Brandy's appointment became effective on October 1st in the absence of Commissioner of Police Ian Quealy, who is currently on a vacation. Prime Minister Harris said that the absence of the Commissioner is part of a broader program that is being implemented across the police force. As law enforcement continues to carry out the work of protecting and serving the public, Mr. Brandy will oversee the ongoing execution of a re-strategized operational plan that was announced mid-September by police. While much of the details are withheld for security reasons, the public can expect to see increased numbers of security forces on patrol and executing vehicle checkpoints (VCPs). A clear message was also sent by the Minister of National Security to criminal elements that seek to disturb social peace and stability.
Wherever they are from, must never doubt our resolve to find them and to bring them to justice. I call on all of us to comply with the laws of the land. Those who commit criminal offenses must never be sheltered in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, nor by political parties. There must be no resting place for these criminals.
Minister of National Security, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. In a much-anticipated move to strengthen diplomatic relations with the Gambia, Minister of Foreign Affairs of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, and His Excellency Dr. Mamadou Tangara, Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, and Gambians Abroad, agreed to waive visa requirements for entry into both countries by their nationals. Both ministers discussed the potential that can be harnessed if the African and Caribbean regions collaborate and strengthen ties. Connected by history and ancestry, the visa waiver agreement is a demonstration of the desire to systematically dismantle the barriers to the movement of people between both countries and/or regions. The mutual cooperation between St. Kitts and Nevis and the Gambia will focus on climate change, migration, health, and other issues of common and beneficial interests. Minister Brantley conveyed special appreciation to the government of the Gambia for its interest in deepening bilateral relations. Thanks for viewing another episode of SKNIS Week in Review. I am Sharima Matthew. See you next week as we continue to update you, the general public, on what's happening in and around the Federation.